strangers of Karbala. Tonight Zainab alayha salam is all alone. Tonight Zainab is without Abbas, without Ali al-Akbar, without Qasim. Tonight, for the first time in her life, Zainab is without Hussain alayhi salam. After they attacked Abu Abdullah al-Hussain, after the istishhad of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain, the enemy wasn't content that they killed the men. No, by Allah. Umar ibn Sa'ad Lanatullah alayhi called out saying, leave no comfort for the Al of Muhammad. They began to burn the tents of the ladies. They began to run from one tent to the other tent to preserve the hijab, that no one may see them. But every tent was on fire. When there was nowhere left for them to run, they were surrounded by the enemies. They would steal from the women of Al-Mustafa. They would steal from their hijabs. They would steal from their properties. Yes, ajrukum ala Allah. They had nowhere to go that could provide them any kind of hijab from the enemies of the Ahlul Bayt until night time settled. When nighttime settled, this was the first time that they felt some kind of tranquility, some kind of peace, because the enemies could no longer see them. Zainab and Kulthum alayhim salam Allah, they begin to count the orphans and the widows to make sure that nobody is missing, that everybody was accounted for. Zainab alayhi salam noticed there was one child that was missing from the congregation. This is the child which Imam al-Hussein left as an amana with Zainab alayhi salam. This is Sukayna bint al-Hussein. Who is Sukayna bint al-Hussein? The narrations say Imam al-Hussein in Salatul Layl used to say, Ya Allah, after Rasulullah, after my mother Fatima to Zahra, after the istishhad of Amir al-Mu'mineen, after the istishhad of my brother Hassan al-Mujtaba, I have no one that can comfort my heart. So bless me with a child that she can be sukoon to me. She can be my source of tranquility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Abu Abdullah al-Hussein Sukayna. Sukayna would never sleep except on the chest of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. She would not open her eyes when she was born until she was taken in the hands of Hussein. She knew nothing in the dunya, no day that was empty of Hussein in her life. But this is the first time that she is far away from Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Imam Hussein left this amana to Zainab. Zainab alayha salam didn't know what to do. Where does she go to find Sukayna? The Karbala is full of darkness, surrounded by enemies. She is extremely concerned for Sukayna. She begins to run east and west, searching for Sukayna alayha salam. Ajrukum ala Allah. When she reached one of the bodies of the shuhada, she can't tell who is who from the shuhada because all their heads have been severed. She reached one of the shuhada and she noticed that he didn't have his hands. She knew that it was Abu Fadl al-Abbas. She says, Abu Fadl, were you not the one that was sworn to protect me? Look at me, Zainab, in the wilderness. Come see what's happened after you left me. Where do I go, O Abbas? Where do I find our niece, Sukayna alayha salam? As if Qamar Bani Hashim responded to her. Yes, the narrations say that the clouds moved and the light of the moon began to shine on the river Euphrates. There she saw the body of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Hussain? And in which state did she see the body of Hussain? This is the first time Zainab saw the body of Aba Abdullah when he left them and didn't return. The chest was leveled with his back because the horses were playing on the chest of Aba Abdullah. Yes, bi abi wa ummi, she goes towards the body of Imam al-Hussain. There she sees somebody is sleeping on the chest of Aba Abdullah. When she gets closer, she realizes that it is the child Sukaina, only 3 years old. Have we not seen how a 3-year-old is attached to their parent? The Sukaina alayhi salam, 3 years old, was throwing herself at the body of Aba Abdullah. She was sleeping on the chest of Imam al-Hussain. It didn't bother her that there was blood on the chest of Hussain. It didn't bother her that the ribs were broken. All that mattered is that this was her father, Aba Abdullah al-Hussain. Zainab alayhi salam sees this sight. She cannot do anything. She falls to the floor. She says, Wa musibata, wa Muhammada, wa Aliya, wa Fatima. Look what has happened to us, oh Aba Abdullah. She comes to wake Sakina alayha salam. She tells her, my beloved Sakina, what brought you over here? She says to her, Amma Zainab, I wanted to complain to my father of what happened to us on this day. Yes, I wanted to tell him that they burned down our tents. I wanted to tell him that Shimrul Ain stole my earrings. And when I cried from the pain, he slapped me on my face. I wanted to tell him, take me back to Medina. I don't want to be in this place no more. Yes, bi abi wa ummi. Zainab alayha salam takes Sukaina to herself. She hugs her, she embraces her. She tells her, Sukaina, I will be your Hussain, I will be your Abbas, and inshallah we will go back to Medina together. But for now, we are at the mercy of our enemies. When they get up to go back towards the orphans and the widows, Zainab alayha salam looks at the body of Aba Abdullah al-Hussain. What does she say to him? Forgive me, oh son of Fatima. Tomorrow I will leave you and I will not even be able to bury your body, oh Aba Abdullah al-Hussain. How I wish I would never be separated from you, but I am now a captive. Yes, she goes back towards the khayma, or she goes back to where the widows and the orphans had collected themselves. As she is returning with Sukaina alayha salam, she sees people coming towards the orphans with fire in their hands. She thinks that the enemy is coming to cause them more harm. She starts to run towards the people with the fire. She notices that it is the women coming from the camp of Yazid la'natullahi alayh, headed by the wife of Hurr al-Shaheed. They were bringing food and water to the women and the children of Karbala. When the wife of Hur, the widow of Hur, sees Zainab alayha salam, she says to her, Zainab begins, Zainab says to her, Azzam Allahu lakil ajr. May Allah compensate you for the loss of Hur. Forgive us for our shortcomings. We could not host him as a guest when he came to us. But this is Karbala. Hur's wife begins to weep. She says, you compensate me for one hur, but how many did you lose on this day, Ya Zainab? You ask me to forgive you that you could not host hur. I ask you to forgive me because the army will host you. But in which way will they host you? Rather than honoring you as the daughters of Risala, they will put you in shackles and chains. Rather than honoring your grandfather Rasulullah, they will treat you like prisoners and captives. Yes, they sat down together. They began to give out the food and the water. When they gave water to Sakina alayhi salam, the narration says she put it down on the ground. She began to look at it. She said, what's the point? What's the point? And there is no more Aliyul Asghar. What's the point? What thirst is there to quench now when the infant has been slain? What thirst when there is no Akbar, Qasim, Abbas or Hussain? Zainab alayhi salam says to her, drink, O Sukaina. We have a service to fulfill for Rasulullah, that we will be taken captives to expose the enemies of Allah. So keep your strength and drink this water. All of a sudden, she sees a man approaching them on a horse. Zainab alayhi salam goes out. She says, who is approaching us and what do you want from us? Is it not sufficient what you have done to us on this day? It turns out that it was Shimrul Ain. He says, I have come to stand as a guardian over you on this night. Zainab alayhi salam says, oh, the humiliation after Abbas. Now Shimr wants to be my protector. Go away from us, for we have no need from you. She sends him away, but it is still the wilderness. She turns her face towards Najaf. She says, Father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, were you not the one who took care of the widows in Kufa? Were you not the one who took care of the orphans in Kufa? Come see your orphans and the widows of your household. Yes, ajrukum ala Allah. What happened to the Ahlul Risala? They were taken from Karbala, and from Karbala to Kufa, and from Kufa on towards Sham. Oh Sham. They asked Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam, Sayyidi wa Mawlai, of all the calamities that befell you in Karbala, what was the most difficult one for you? He said, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham. Yes, in Sham they were mistreated and they were placed in a prison that does not protect them from the heat of the day or the intense cold of the night. As the shuhada's widows and their orphans were huddled together in the prison of Sham, it was the first time that they were left to rest. Yes, because the enemy was rushing with the daughters of Risala to get their reward from Yazid al-La'in. When they placed them inside the kharaba of Sham, the orphans for the very first time and the widows could get some sleep and some rest. Imam Zainul Abidin, ajrukum ala Allah, he says, I wanted to utilize this time, for I could not pray Salatul Layl whilst we were being paraded and taken. I wanted to utilize this time that I make up the Salatul Layl that I missed. Look at Ahlul Bayt. Despite all that they had suffered, their Salah was still the most important thing. Imam Zainul Abidin, ajrukum ala Allah, he says, when I finished Salatul Layl, I heard the voice of a woman weeping. I thought, who could it be? I looked into the corner of the prison and I saw it was my aunt Zainab al-Kubra alayha salam. She was holding the head of my father Aba Abdullah al-Hussain in her hand. Akhir Masaib, give your tears to Aba Abdullah. She says, I saw her with the head of my father, Imam al-Hussain, in her lap. Try to imagine the scenario that Zainab is in. She is wiping the blood from his holy face. And what is she saying? She said, Aba Abdullah, after Rasulullah, I did not feel that I lost my grandfather, for you became the grandfather that I lost. Aba Abdullah, when I lost my mother, I did not feel like an orphan, for you became the mother which I had lost. Aba Abdullah, when I lost my father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, I did not feel that I had lost my father, for you took on the role of the father. Aba Abdullah, when I lost Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, you became my Mujtaba. When I lost Aun and Muhammad, I still had you. When I lost Abbas, I still had you. Now I have lost you, Aba Abdullah. Now I have lost my mother, Fatima Zahra. Now I have lost my father, Amir al-Mu'mineen. Now I have lost Rasulullah. Aba Abdullah, man li ghayruk? Whom do I have after you, Ya Aba Abdullah? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali